these scams are very, very convincing. They're really professional. That one you're talking about, safe account scam in particular. There was someone that was arrested recently because they'd managed to get all the banks, even the bank's call hold music and things like that. So they were calling people with the real script of the bank, real hold music, again, calling from the actual number that looks like it's from the bank, spoofing it, and sending a text message from the same bank in the thread with all your others. Like, of course, people fall for it. Yeah, they're all like that though. Like, it's very rare. You know, the typical thing you will see in the papers is like someone thought they had a relationship with Keanu Reeves or something like that. But that's
you do
like,
see a lot of that.
Yeah. But that is like a minority of cases. That does happen.
Yeah.
You know, it does happen, but the majority are.
But then you see celebrities getting frauded. You know, I saw some in the paper this week about, I don't know, some massive A-lister, you know, thought they were, it was ridiculous. And you think, what's a Wally? But in reality, I was done only a couple of months ago, you know, on a business card transaction. Yeah,
there's a false perception that you know, scams are not very convincing or people are foolish to fall for them. Not everybody is a scam where they think they're in a relationship with Keanu Reeves or something like that. Most of the stuff we deal with is really convincing. So an example of one we dealt with, we're currently dealing with, it was like, we were actually on Panorama the other day talking about it, but it was called Vashi. They approached high net worth investors who, you know, they specifically targeted people that have exited businesses or people who are well known, things like that, with the opportunity to invest in this, essentially a bespoke jewelry maker. They had a store in Covent Garden. They had another store somewhere else in London, so you could physically go into the store. They had staff. They actually, you know, they were able to sell stuff to customers.
All the front.
Yeah, they had the front. And there was, you know, a small amount of sales. And the idea was you would invest, you would get shares in the company if you wanted, or you would just get a return. And that was to grow the company in New York and other places overseas, to buy stock. And investors were convinced. A number of things. Obviously, this guy was really charismatic, which is always the case. And he appeared as one of in the Forbes magazine as one of the entrepreneurs to watch out for. He was on This Morning, I think it was, giving Holly Willoughby a necklace to wear. And people invested on the strength of the accounts that were online, the published accounts that had supposedly been audited. And which, you know, that's something we wouldn't usually see. So investors were given a pitch that matched what was online on Companies House. The stock list, they said they had about £200 million worth of diamonds as security that were in stock. All of it was fake. Like, they had about 5% of that. And the turnover they were saying was about 200 million a year, I think it was. Actually, it was about 5 million a year. There's hardly any sales. They were getting staff to go into the store when investors were going in and posing as customers to make it seem busier than it was. And the guys just disappeared, went to Dubai, as a lot of scammers do. Really? They end up in Dubai.
For context, the type of stuff that Refundee does, the type of work that Refundee does, could be, I'm talking out loud, could be me getting done for £2,000 in the Apple store and having a battle with Clio because Clio aren't playing ball. So I appoint you then to say, if we Refundee, would you come in and sort this out for me, please? Because I'm getting nowhere. And you know, might be too small for it, I don't know. And then the other end of the CR, you've got this £200 million flipping fraud going on with this guy that's done one to Dubai.
Yeah.
So it's what work do you like to do?
I like the complex fraud, to be honest. We kind of have two sides of the business. We have the majority of what we do is they kind of fit in with the general trends, so romance scams, invoice scams, but the majority are actually crypto investment scams, because
and this is what
really
you call
convincing.
Complex.
No, sorry, these are like the straightforward ones, like you know, general case load. So cryptocurrency
scan is straightforward.
Well, sort compared to the other ones, but
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. And I mean, even on the complex, some of them are not that complex. We prefer, that's just the term we use. But the cryptocurrency ones are the most common at the moment because they're so convincing. And they're all over Facebook. You can see them. The ones that use Martin Lewis's face and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
They're really convincing. And then we have the other side, which is a smaller part of the business, but what I enjoy doing is investors essentially being told they've lost money to something that is just a failed investment and not a scam. So, for example, Vashi, this big, massive diamond fraud, all the banks have refused to reimburse people because the reimbursement rules only apply to people that have lost money to a scam.
Okay.
And they're telling people, yeah, sorry, this is
a poor investment.
This is just a bad investment. And it's just so obviously not.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work to try and, you have to, for example, in that case, we employed a diamond expert to go through the stock lists.
Really? Wow.
And just to point out that they're completely fabricated and that's not how a real stock
that's
list.
A scam. If there was 200 million quid's worth of real diamonds and the guy sold them too cheap, that's a bad investment. There wasn't 200 million quid's worth of real diamonds.
People were investing on the strength of these stock lists and the sales figures that they were given, and they were given supposed evidence that they were real, and it was all just fabricated. It's just a scam.
Yeah, I can see why this side of the business really interests you.
Yeah, it is hard work, but it's, that case is 200 million pounds of investor losses. There's niches, you can only help a certain number of people, but that, we can end up getting millions of pounds back for people under that case. And they should get it back, in my opinion, because it's just so obvious. The BBC are so cautious, and they have called it a scam multiple times on that show. Like, they know it's a scam. They wouldn't be calling it a scam. Their legal team would not let them unless they had definitive evidence that it's a scam.
And this is Panorama, right?
Yeah.
So you guys are on Panorama Watchdog.
Mm-hmm.
You've been, I think I've seen you on Watchdog. I think we did an airing one.
Yeah. Rip Off Britain.
Rip Off Britain, right. Yeah. Which is your favourite show to go on? And do you get anything from it? I mean, do you get leads from going on Panorama?
We do. Panorama, Panorama, a lot of people watch Panorama. And it does, it's just, obviously when people have been scammed, it's hard for them to know who to trust. So just being on the BBC in itself is a good trust measure. Panorama is really great in terms of the exposure we get. It's always really relevant. They're really good shows. Rip Off Britain has less viewers, but nevertheless, it's still great to get on there.
And did different sector, different elements of different style of fraud, I would imagine, than Vashi, perhaps, the diamond fraud. But
we quite often give them information as well, because they often cover frauds where we don't necessarily feature on the show. But for us, we want people to kind of be aware they've got rights, even if they don't use us.
And this is what this is about, right? This is about consumer rights, people not knowing their consumer rights, not feeling that they can actually stand up and go, no, I'm not being treated very fair here. And your business can step in and represent that.
And we give a lot of free information as well. So we try to operate ethically. So we charge much lower fees than anyone else for this. And we give out a lot of free information. So people are free to use us, or they're free to try and do it themselves, depending on the case. That's sometimes a good idea, sometimes not. And that's really good for us, because people too often, what's really frustrating for me is I have Reddit, and every now and again on the personal finance thing, someone will post, I've lost money to this scam, or my granddad lost money to this scam, or something like that. And particularly when it's cryptocurrency related, and the advice people give them on these threads are just write it off. It's crypto, you've lost it. There's nothing you can do. And that's not true.
It's not a bad investment. It's a scam.